Welcome to the Mixed Reception Podcast. I'm your host, Barrett Sigmon, and today I got two very special guests. My sisters, Bailey Sigmon and Madison Sigmon.
Hi.
Madison, you're a two-timer.
I'm a two-timer, and so many people reached out and requested we do Twilight since we mentioned it in the last one. So
I don't know who these people you're talking about. I would love to hear from them. So today we're doing Twilight, and we were actually going to do this the first time we did an episode together, but we decided to do Space Jam. So here we are. We're doing Twilight. We actually watched 3 Twilight movies yesterday.
Yeah, we're also on vacation right now, so you might get a little sibling arguing on this since we spent a lot of time together. But yes, we did have a Twilight marathon. We're going to watch the last 2 later.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
So let me ask you guys. So what is your history? What is your experience with this movie, Twilight? We're going to talk about the sequels, but we're mainly going to focus on the first one today. But what is your relationship to the series, Bailey?
Okay. So my relationship was I was bandwagon when it first came out. I was like, oh, everybody else was watching it. And when I watched the movie, in my opinion, I could tell it was a terrible movie, but I tried my hardest to like it. And I still became attached to the series. And to this day, if it's on, I'll still watch it, even though somehow it's a bad movie, but it's a good movie, and I don't know how to explain that.
So it's a guilty pleasure.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Madison.
So I read all the books. Well, I didn't finish the last books; it was too long, and all the movies were coming out. But when the first movie came out, it was this big thing. Everybody's talking about it. So I saw the movie with a friend, and I think I was in 8th grade, and then I read all the books. And yeah, I became a huge fan and had all the movies and yeah, huge fan.
So I would say I think I saw the first couple in theaters.
I did too. I saw a couple.
And I'm ashamed of that. Well, so the first one came out. So the first one came out in 2008, and this is when I was in the Coast Guard. I just had started the Coast Guard, and I was stationed in Charleston, and I was living on a ship. So anytime I could go out and do something and not be on the ship, that was great. And I think it was just one of those things. I kind of saw it with a buddy just to pass the time. And I didn't really know what it was. I just knew Twilight, this was a book series. This is a new big craze. And I saw the first one and I was okay.
Yeah.
And then
it was also 12 years ago too. So
and
expectations were different.
Yeah, and I was 18 and I don't know, it was okay. I would say I think these movies get progressively worse. I will say the 4th one is horrible.
That's the worst one.
I think there's the 4th book is split into 2 movies, and I think the last movie is terrible.
You think the last one's worse than the 4th?
Well, the 4th one, it just gets extra. But I mean, it's still.
So the 4th one, I will say this about the series. I think there's some cool ideas. I think the romance aspect of it is the weakest part, in my opinion.
The over-narration is the weakest
Well,
part.
we're going to get into the narration. But, yeah, the romance, I found myself just not caring about the romance. But, all the subplots and stuff, what's that vampire, the Vittori?
The Volturi,
yeah.
That's kind of cool. This ancient vampire organization that just keeps tabs on vampires and makes sure we got to keep the people from knowing we exist. That's fucking cool.
It's in Italy.
I think the idea of there's a bunch of werewolves in that town. That's cool. And then in the 3rd movie
there's history, the Civil War and stuff where people were. It's really cool. I mean, the movies, I feel like the books are definitely a little better than the movies, but yeah.
But yeah, the 3rd movie, that chick.
I like the 3rd movie.
The chick who's trying to get revenge on
her husband,
on Edward, is she builds up an army, and that's really cool. But it's just executed kind of poorly.
What about Vampire Baseball?
That's I can't wait to get into that. That's the lamest. That's like the lamest thing I've ever seen. But then, yeah, the fourth movie, it's like
she's pregnant the whole time.
And then she gives birth to the baby, and then
we're not gonna talk
yes,
about
we
it.
are. We have to bring it up. We have to bring this up. Jacob
So they're not
imprints
diehard fans,
on
they
the
don't get it.
baby, and he wants to fuck the baby up. He wants
No,
to
he
fuck Bella
doesn't.
and Edward's baby.
Okay, for those who are not, okay.
It's so okay. I know you're gonna explain it, and I know like if you probably read the book, like it's probably not as weird, but still pretty fucking weird. Like,
But
why
if
would
you
you?
break it down as simply as possible.
Like, why would you include that? Like, I don't know what the author was thinking.
So I'm gonna explain what that actually means. He does not want to quote unquote have sex with the baby. He imprints on the baby because he loves her, and it's a brother sisterly relationship. It is not, and Barrett has to turn it into this gross.
It's still weird. No, but it's weird. It's weird though. It's like, one day I'm gonna fuck your baby.
No.
Like when your daughter grows up, like I'm totally gonna hit that. Like that's weird.
No.
It's not. How is it cute?
I think we agree to disagree.
But yeah, the series as a whole, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
it just has some intriguing
well, it's
points.
boring.
It was very impactful
It's
at the time.
very-
I feel like
Nobody has personality.
Everybody just feels like they're on Zoloft. They all just, and I will say, like the one girl who actually has like a personality is like the Alice character.
yeah, Alice. I love
Like,
Alice.
She's like a little fairy in my
I was
opinion.
just like, oh wow, like that's the one character
nerdy
who's actually
girl.
like kind of bright and positive and like happy. But yeah, it's just like it's boring, and it just feels like a CW show. Like it just
Well,
feels
and then
I did
like
like the
fast
CW
forward,
Vampire Diaries.
This is like kind of what started the big vampire werewolves like phenomenon.
I thought Buffy did.
Maybe, but I feel like Buffy was a long time ago.
I actually did Buffy like 5 episodes ago. This
Oh,
is the second vampire
So how
thing.
would you compare Buffy to
Buffy is night and day better than this.
What's the difference? Like, what are the vampire rules for Buffy versus?
They follow the traditional rules, and that's another thing which we'll get into. I don't like how they don't follow the traditional vampire rules. Like in this movie, instead of like when they go out in the sunlight, instead of like
They
burning,
sparkle.
instead of burning,
like a diamond.
they sparkle. They don't have fangs. Also, like it's weird. It's like some vampires have powers. Like
Yeah.
Edward can
read minds.
minds, and then that Alice character can like see like
The
The
future,
future.
as it's rolling out.
which that is the most contrived like bullshit. Like you strip that away from that character, it's like then the story can't happen.
Yeah.
Really, if you think about it.
No, yeah, especially at the end of the movie.
But like, yeah, do vampires like? I don't remember like in
Do you know
vampire.
Bella's
and,
power?
well, so Bella's not affected by anything that the vampires do to them.
She's a sheep.
But yeah, it's like it's so weird. It's like I don't know.
well, it's a different vampire universe. Every universe has their own
It's
rules.
horrible.
I think they should have like an intersecting universe once where you have conflicting vampires, so like they have different rules.
There's a lot of points in this series, and so they live in what was it, Washington?
Yeah, Forks.
Forks, Washington. So that makes sense. So it's always cloudy and rainy, and so like yeah.
And the Cullens never show up on a Sunday.
But there's a lot of points in this like series where like they're out in broad daylight and they're not getting. The fourth one,
Yeah.
don't they like?
well,
Aren't they like fucking like vacationing in like fucking Bahamas or some shit? I'm
But
like,
it's just
okay,
that
how
one
is he?
island. But
How
it's
is?
a private island.
But how is he not like? I don't know. It's just I don't like what they did. They pussified vampires.
Well, they definitely pussified Jacob as the werewolf because he was just too much. Like some of his comments. Now, this isn't from the first movie. This is from the third movie. But the worst line was, "I am hotter than you," because he's hot as a werewolf, and then Edward's cold. But I was just like, why did you say that? It's so corny.
So the werewolves aren't in the first movie, which we're mainly going to talk about. But I will say that was disappointing. Like when I thought like werewolves, I was like, oh, like
it's kind of cool at certain
I thought it was going to be like the werewolves from like American Werewolf in London, like a really good werewolf movie. But they're just cats.
They're dogs.
And
They're dogs.
and well,
They're
yeah,
big dogs.
they're just like the CGI is terrible on them.
well, I mean,
The
think about
effects and
year.
the
You gotta think about
effects-
the year it came out, though.
The effects in this. Well, I know this was super cheap, but it was funny because I was like, when I was doing my research, I was looking at the budget for all these. In each movie, the budgets got bigger and bigger,
It's
and
the quality of the
And the quality of the movies dip, but like you could tell they just put all the money towards the actors, and they didn't really care.
Well, honestly, it's almost like it was gonna sell itself because it had such a big following.
Yeah, so they didn't have to do that good.
Also, another thing that bugged me is there's a fight scene which we'll talk about when we do notes, and they don't see the reflection. The vampires. That really bothers me.
Well,
all the cool vampire lore, everything you know about vampires.
You're just mad because it's not
like Stephanie Meyer just pulled down her pants and took a steaming dump on vampire
lore.
And she had like a burrito like the day before from Chipotle.
No,
and she just like pooped all over a vampire.
For Barrett?
Yeah, no. But I will say this book, and I don't know what your trivia is, Barrett, but she wrote this book based off of dreams she had, and then she had a dream of like vampires, and then it just turned into this novel. So it's all based off a dream.
You don't want some of my dreams to become movies. They're weird.
Oh, also, so you mentioned that they're coming out with a new book?
Yeah, so this is semi-relevant because I'm all about having relative appearances on these podcasts. But Stephanie Meyer, so she has the 4 books. And when I was in high school, she actually had a book that's Twilight, but in Edward's perspective. So, like, the first book is all in Bella's perspective. So a chapter had been leaked when I was in high school, so I knew it's called Midnight Sun, and she finally released the whole book. So it's like Twilight, but everything in Edward's perspective. So it's kind of cool to know, like, the first half of the book, I feel like it's Bella trying to figure out who this dude is, and you're kind of seeing why, like, where he went for 3 days when he wasn't at school and all this stuff. So it's kind of interesting, but it just came out, so.
Are you gonna get it?
Maybe. I might do it on Audible.
I have a question for you. If you didn't read the books and you just saw the movies, such as, like, me and Barrett didn't read the books. If you didn't read the books, would the movies have as much of an impact?
That is a great question.
Because it might add a little bit more context to the characters.
Yeah, I think I feel like it's like any book you read and see the movie, there's things you just, like Harry Potter.
I was gonna say that because, like, I would say for the most part, I think the Harry Potter books are good. I'm gonna rope Twilight into the Harry Potter like category of like young adult.
Robert Pattinson was appearance in both series.
He was in Goblet of Fire, but I feel like those movies are good. But I feel like having read the book, it's like, I get
so much is left
this
out.
Means more to me, and like I get this makes a little bit more sense.
Like the imprinting is so much more.
Okay, I don't care who you are, and I know I'm oversimplifying it. Okay, but that is the dumbest plot device in any form of media. I mean, come on, is that? Do you think that's a little?
So I think if it wasn't the.
She's like, he's pining after Bella. And then it's like, I can't have you, so maybe one day I'll hook up with your daughter.
Okay, we don't have to talk about that anymore.
Also, one thing, before we move on to reviews at the time, I never saw the last movie.
Oh, you gotta see the last movie.
We will do that later.
Okay, so, but I do know that, like,
I
do know, like, the last movie, like, the last, like, act is basically a dream.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not to give it away, but basically.
I mean, I already know. I just haven't seen it.
It's the future. So that's what Alice is. Yeah, you go ahead, Nancy. You can explain it.
So basically, Alice can see the future, and so the last scene, she goes up to Arrows from the Volturi because Bella has that baby, but it's like half human, half vampire. And back in the day, they would have half human, half vampire babies, and they would just like it was weird. They were turned into babies. They were babies that were turned into vampires. So they were getting it confused with that. And then they have to go and search to find another, have evidence of the Volturi because they were going to try to kill. Her name's like Renesmee. It's like both the parents' names combined. Stupid name.
I'm already falling asleep.
But she basically, if he had made the decision to like destroy her, kill her, what was going to happen? And basically everyone was going to die in this huge fight scene. And then after the fight scene's over, and then Arrows dies.
Choice is yours.
Do I even want to watch
that? What happened?
Yes, you do.
It's actually a good fight. It's crazy. It's action packed. It's like
whenever the wolves died, I cried a little because there's like.
Well, and then they don't, and then you're like, but in the theaters, at first I wasn't sure if I saw that in theaters, but now I think about it, I definitely did because I remember being in theaters and everyone's like, what?
Yeah, it's like, gosh.
That's such a fuck you. Like,
really
like nothing matters.
People said that about The
There's no stakes.
Should we compare Twilight to Sopranos?
Okay, we are not comparing Twilight to The Sopranos. Okay, should we go into reviews at the time?
Yes.
All right, so I cherry-picked some reviews from like Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. So just tell me what you guys think. I have some positive, I have some mixed, I have some negative. This movie, very, very mixed reviews. I think most critics were just kind of like,
What is this?
All right, Owen Gleiberman, Entertainment Weekly, gave it a B. On screen, Twilight is repetitive and a tad sodden, too prosaic to really soar, but Hardwick stirs this teen pulp into a pleasing simmer. First of all, like, I feel like this positive review is like
They put more effort into that review than the whole movie series. I just don't think you could use all those words.
I just like how this little blurb is like mostly kind of negative, but it's still like a positive review.
But it's basically it means what's
trying to buy the positive.
The teens want it. That's what the teens want.
I do think this is repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
This whole series is repetitive, but mainly
It's like a tired concept. It's like, oh my gosh, two men are fighting over me. Oh, and I have no personality, and somehow I'm important.
And it says too prosaic to really soar. I think we did mention this earlier. Everybody feels like they're on like Ambien or some sort of drug.
Yeah, nobody.
Except for Alice. Alice is like the only. Even the dad, who's like
the doctor.
I do like
the dad's kind of a weirdo too.
Like the vampire dad?
No, well, like no,
Bella's
like
dad?
Bella's dad.
Charlie?
I like Charlie, but
had
like
the best performance.
You think so? Okay, all right.
MVP.
Yeah, stirs this teen pulp into a pleasing simmer. I don't know. Would you say this is a pleasing simmer?
I think it served its purpose. I mean, the whole point is like there's a huge teen following, and this kind of this basically did what it was supposed to do. I think it served its purpose.
All right, so this next review, I had to add this. I wasn't going to, but because we are from Charlotte,
yeah,
I had to add the Charlotte Observer's review. Lawrence Topman, who actually just retired.
Aww.
But I used to read this guy's stuff like every Friday in the entertainment section of the paper. Lawrence Topman, Charlotte Observer, gave it a 3 out of 4. Pattinson grows on us as he grows on Bella. His weird mannerisms and nervous delivery stop seeming like quirks and acquire an intensity that's hard to resist by the end. I should say I rarely agreed. Oh, you agree. I rarely agreed with this guy's reviews.
Can I just
Some
say,
of his reviews were just like...
How creepy did it sound? It's like, Edward grows on us as he continues to grow on Bella. Like, that sounds a little bit...
That's how you write a movie.
I
kind of get what he's saying, though. Like, it's weird. You're like, what? But then he comes kind of like, as you kind of figure him out, you figure him out more. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because we've seen the movie so many times, but like...
The movie's through her perspective.
The first time watching the movie, I mean, you would think like, God, why is he so weird? But you're like, oh, wait, like, then he grows on you. So I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I guess to an extent, but I don't know. Like, Edward's just so fucking weird.
Yeah. Especially when they first meet and he just looks like he crapped his pants or something.
I can't wait to talk about that. I got that in notes. We will discuss that in depth. I'm excited. I get where he's coming from. I don't know. I just think, I mean, do you buy their love? Like, do you think they have good...
They had a real romance outside of the movie.
That's true. Do you think...
If that's what their love was, that's why they...
Do you think they have good chemistry on screen?
I think they're like, the way they're acting is like, because Bella's like really quirky and everything. It's just kind of, they're trying to act like, I don't know, they're trying to act way exactly like they're described in the book, and I feel like at sometimes it's like really awkward.
I don't think it comes through enough. I think everybody just kind of seems dull. And they're not giving their quirks enough showtime, I guess. I mean, but I could tell they loved each other. I mean, they were so intense about each other.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like, it was like a dull intensity. It was like, it's like a, you know, that lighter when it's almost out of lighter fluid and it's kind of like flickering, but it's not quite there. That's them.
Okay, the next review. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, 2.5 out of 4. Twilight will mesmerize its target audience, 16-year-old girls and their grandmothers. Their mothers know all too much about boys like this. I thought I like this. I like this review.
That's my favorite.
Because like.
Oh, that's like so spot on.
Yeah, because grandmothers are so out of touch with like weird fucking creepy dudes like Jacob and Edward. Which
and
Jacob's.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Literally in high school, it was like Team Edward, Team Jacob.
I mean, I was way more into it in high school. Watching it now, I still enjoy watching it. But...
Which Jacob's barely in this movie.
Yeah, the first one he's not, but he's not important in the first one.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to set the stage for like Bella and Edward's relationship.
He's just there a couple of times.
Yeah, I think this review is pretty spot on. I think, I would say the age range from like 13 to like 16.
I was 14 when this.
I don't know. I feel like by the time you're a senior in high school, you're probably over this.
No, I mean, I was through it. I mean, you get started in the series, you have to see it in. Even if it's a crappy, you still got to see it.
Okay.
So that's the reason why.
We'll say 13 to 18.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, this is strictly for young girls.
The moms just know what it's about. Guys like this are like, gotta stay away from the werewolves, because.
Yeah, and then the old grandmothers are just like, oh,
so sweet,
because they were used to being treated like crap back in the 30s.
Your mom was born in the 30s?
No,
grandmothers.
Oh, I was like, I thought you were saying
your mom is my mom.
Okay, Peter Travers, Rolling Stone, gave it a 2.5 out of 4. Bummer. The vampires have no fangs. I'm glad he brought that up. That pisses me off. The humans are humdrum. The special effects and makeup define cheeseball, yes. And the movie crowds in so many characters from Stephanie Meyer's book that Catherine Hardwicke, 13, she directed 13, which is a really good movie, is less a director than a traffic cop. But there's a reason that Twilight has already become the movie equivalent of a bestseller. The love story has teeth. I agree with everything he said.
Humdrum really, to me, defines the movies.
Yeah, the effects are terrible.
The running thing.
Oh, God.
The running's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's
a breakdown somewhere. I haven't looked at it in a while, but they broke down how they made it look like that. It was so funny.
So I will say this director, Catherine Hardwicke, has actually made some movies I've liked. She did 13. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I feel like I might have.
It's basically a terrible teen movie. Like a movie about a terrible teenager.
Yeah.
I might have seen
And Nikki Reed is in it.
I was going to say, Nikki Reed must have been. Yeah.
And she also directed like one of my faves, Lords of Dogtown.
I've never
That
seen
skateboarding movie.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
She's a great director. Oh, I don't know if I'd say great, but like I've liked a couple of her movies.
She likes to do like what indie movies? Would you say, or like
13 was kind of an indie movie, and
movie?
Yeah, Lords of Dogtown
maybe she
was.
was thinking this would be more of that.
I think she probably didn't have a lot of control on this.
Yeah,
From what I read, they let Stephanie Meyer basically.
Stephanie Meyer did a lot.
She called a lot of the shots, and
She made herself become.
I don't think her personality really comes through in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the same director throughout all the movies.
They each changed, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And they've actually had some pretty interesting directors work on this series. But yeah, it's just I think it's really like it doesn't matter how great the director is, what do you do? What do you do with this source material?
That's why all the directors probably kept quitting. They're like, well shit, I'm not getting any action here. It's all Stephanie Meyer. What's her name? Stephanie Meyer? Yeah.
The love story has teeth. I don't know.
Well, we've already established the vampire storm, so hopefully
They have teeth. They all have teeth in the movie.
They just don't have fangs. Which I don't know. We're gonna get into this notes, but like I feel like I think Stephanie Meyer was like, oh, I want to do this love story in high school about a vampire, but like, he can't have fangs because like they'll notice if he has fangs. Like, it's like removing a thread from a sweater. It's like you take one thing out and then it's like nothing. You don't have a story really. Like it's just like she had to do. There's so many like contrivances and so many things she had to change just for this to work.
That's what's happened sometimes with these. Like, there's like, okay, in order for this to work, I have to change this detail a little bit so that the rest of the story works. But it's kind of just like, now you're just pulling it. Yeah, like threads at straws. You're like, all right.
That's a pretty spot on review. Kyle Smith, New York Post, 2 out of 4. I love this review. I saw this. I'm like, I'm putting this one on. Combines the plot of HBO's True Blood and the intensity level of Saved by the Bell. I love that. Yes, that is spot on. Yeah, this is a crappy like little teen. It feels like a teen soap. Like
I mean, it is. I'm glad you said soap. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Because I watched Real Hospital. I still watch Real Hospital.
So melodramatic.
Mm-hmm. And the forced details.
Yeah. Madison, anything to add?
Madison's like,
Justin Chang, Variety. A disappointingly anemic tale of forbidden love that should satiate. I looked up that word. It means satisfy. Why don't they just say satisfy?
Because it sounds cooler to say satiate. They always use big.
They should satiate.
Satisfy.
Satiate the pre-converted but will bewilder and underwhelm viewers who haven't devoured Stephenie Meyer's best-selling juvie chick lit franchise. I agree.
But she did it herself. She was the one who's taking control of the directing. So
she didn't control.
She
didn't direct the movie, but she did have a lot of say on the script.
I thought the movie was over narrated, so I mean, I feel like that piece kind of took away from something.
Actually, so I looked into the narration thing. The director actually was like, "Oh, we need to add the narration."
Oh, so the director.
I mean, there's still a director. Stephenie Meyer just had a big part.
She had a lot of input.
Yeah, she did have a lot.
They would show her like the dailies, and then she would kind of give her input on it. I think for the worst. I think from my research, and we're kind of jumping ahead, but like apparently like the original draft of this script was like way different from the book. It was just different. I couldn't find a lot of detail about that, but like I don't know. I think you could have made this like. If you went with like if you didn't go with like the teen like CW melodramatic feel, like I don't know, I could see you taking this and like making it really cool, like making it really gory and violent. And
but teenage girls don't want to see gore.
Right,
So
and yes, and like the booksellers are young. The book is young adult, and it was a bestseller. So
maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is just supposed to be for 13 to 16-year-olds or 18-year-olds. So if that's the case,
just happen to age out.
So you read. So this is interesting because you saw the first movie before the book. You read the book.
Well,
so did you like it?
I loved it. I was 14.
Okay.
I was like, oh my god, true love. I hope I marry a vampire. Like that's where I was at.
I was Team Jacob. Just kidding.
So. And you liked it when it first came out?
I did. I mean, it was enjoyable enough. Like there was enough plotline, there was enough little gushy romance that a 16-year-old girl wants to see that you get into it, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to be the next one? But I mean, when you really sit there and pick it apart, I mean, gosh,
it's silly now.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
So,
but you could argue that with a lot of different movies that you saw off the time versus now, because especially as computer animation and just the way that things evolve as we evolve. You go back and watch a lot of movies that you loved at the time. You're like, what was I thinking? But you were also kids, so it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, it was like 12 years ago.
So really, what I'm taking away is you have to be a young girl, a teenage girl to like this. Otherwise,
I like it. But I still watch it. So that's the thing. It still pulls me in somehow. Maybe there's a little bit of a 16-year-old girl still inside of me. That's kind of weird too.
All right.
Moving on.
Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it a 49%. So it's very, it's
50-50.
Yeah, almost 50-50. Audience 73. That's a little too high.
Well, I mean,
at the time, I was obsessed with them. I mean, they're not. Now, it was 12 years ago, but 12 years ago, their target audience.
You took the same people who rated it that day, which it would be impossible to do, and then have them rated again after they watched it again. Would the numbers still be that high?
I mean, it's all about the time. For its time, I think that's pretty accurate.
Consensus: having lost much of its bite transitioning to the big screen, Twilight will please its devoted fans, but do little for the uninitiated. I don't know if I agree with that because you guys hadn't read the book and you guys still liked it. I think,
but it was initiated by the craze. If it's uninitiated, so like there's no craze anymore. What's going to make somebody watch Twilight who's never heard of it?
That's true. I just watched it because I thought it was.
Yeah,
I was like, this is the next big thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because I only watched it too because if I saw that on television for the first time, I might have. I don't know. I can't say because it's not my. I don't know. Can't say for sure.
I think I think you have to be like a teenage girl to like this, or have read the books. If you're not in that demographic, if you're not one of those people, you're probably gonna hate it.
Yeah, or a grandma apparently.
Yeah, grandmothers would probably love it. Metacritic 56, IMDb 5.2. So IMDb fared worse.
That's what I saw when we were watching it. It said 5.2.
All right, box office. So this had a budget of $37 million, which is like not super. I mean,
what is a typical budget? Like I don't pay.
Well, okay, so your big old like summer blockbusters. I mean, typically you're looking at like $200 million.
Okay, so it was very low.
And this, yeah.
How much did it gross?
But so in the U.S. it grossed $192 million.
Okay.
So it was a success. Worldwide, it grossed $407.
Wow.
I looked ahead. I was just kind of curious.
Who's liking it in other countries?
New Moon grossed over 700 million. So I think, and it's interesting because I looked this up. This was the best-selling DVD of the year that came out.
New Moon? Or Twilight?
Twilight, the first Twilight. It grossed an additional 200 million on DVD. So I think it did well in theaters, but I really think it kind of like got really popular on DVD. And also I think New Moon, I think people were really attracted to
the Jacob
the love triangle.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I think girls love Taylor Lautner. I mean,
they did at the time. I think he disappeared, though.
The dude was jacked.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
I just couldn't stand some of his lines though. Like when they're in New Moon, I know we're not going into that movie, but like he was like on the date with her. He's like, "Oh my gosh, what a marshmallow!
Yeah.
Things are about to get really
Loved
ugly."
him.
Yeah, Taylor Lautner never really. He's kind of gone.
I don't know what happened to him.
They're remaking Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Is he gonna be in that?
Yep.
Okay. Well, there you go. He's coming back.
I will say, I have kind of jumped on the Robert Pattinson train.
No, he does other cool
He's
stuff.
been in
after he
some
got out of
good movies, like
Remember Me was a good one.
that's that 9/11 movie.
Yeah. It was
What's
good.
the one with crying elephants? What was it?
Water for Elephants.
Oh,
There's a movie called, it's kind of an indie movie, Good Times.
I haven't seen
You
it.
can watch it
I
on
can see him
Amazon.
being a really good indie movie.
It's on Amazon. I highly recommend it. He also did a movie called The Lighthouse, which is crazy.
I haven't seen that one either.
It's about a bunch
You
of
gotta make a list.
it's a bunch of people. It's two people on an island, on a lighthouse island, who go crazy.
And you can't forget where he started. Harry Potter Goblet of
That's
Fire.
true. Also, well, he's supposed to be in the new Christopher Nolan movie Tenet, which I don't know if that's.
And he's gonna be Batman.
That's true.
Oh yeah, everybody hates that.
I think it'll be
He's not my first choice, but I
It's a different swing.
He is 60 and so is Batman.
These 14 through 18-year-olds are now
Oh yeah, they're
young adults,
evolving.
so
That's
they're using that.
Yeah, they might not even know who Christian Bale is. I feel like they should know who Christian Bale is, but who knows?
All right, notes.
I'll
So
recommend
I had
notes.
like 3 pages of notes, and I kind of like I typed up the good stuff. But basically, like, if anyone who's listening who hasn't seen Twilight, I mean, you probably know. Basically, Bella, she lives with her mom. Her mom's like,
Her mom always, like, and in the book too, she always like had a boyfriend. Like her parents were divorced when she was young, and then she lived with her mom in Arizona, and then she always had boyfriends, and then she had a boyfriend who played baseball, and she was gonna live with her dad while they traveled.
yeah. So she's sick of traveling. Her mom's dating this like baseball player, and they're always moving around. So she wants to like live with her dad in Washington, a town called Forks, and he is the sheriff. And so yeah, she moves there, and yeah, then basically she meets Edward and the Cullen clan. The first note I have, I know I'm skipping ahead, but this is like the first really big, funny, unintentionally funny moment in the movie, the biology class scene.
Oh,
and she
first.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Also, y'all feel free to add anything.
Yes.
Well, I will say, just to like not get into the we all know she's dull, and everyone's like obsessed with her for some reason. But there's these group of friends that like introduce her to everybody and like kind of showing her the ropes, and then there's the Cullens walk into the cafeteria, and this is before biology, so I'm assuming she had biology after lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all walking in, they're introducing everybody, and basically the Cullens are these like foster kids that basically are dating. And when they come in, Edward, they're talking about Edward and blah blah blah. That Jessica girl who's Anna Kendrick. How do you say her name? Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick.
And he's laughing. Anna Kendrick. They're laughing at what she's saying. But then Edward gets kind of confused because you can tell in his face. He's like,
Why can't I read your mind?
I can't read her mind.
Also, he stares at her a lot in this movie. We kind of joked, like, they should have renamed this movie Creepy Stares.
Yeah, and that would have been a fitting title, and we all would have understood.
But then anyway, so after lunch is bio.
But yeah, so she walks in, and of course, like, she has to sit next to him.
No one wants to sit with him.
That's the only. Oh, I thought that was just the only seat that was available.
Yeah, probably. Why though?
And this dude looks at her, and he looks
like a fan blows. The fan blows on behind her, and then he like gets a waft of her air, and he's like literally like flinches and like covers his mouth, and then she's like.
He looks like he's about to come. Like he looks like he is getting sucked off from under the table.
Oh my gosh! Do you bleep any of your stuff?
Oh, this is explicit.
Okay. explosion.
He looks like he's getting. I mean, seriously, he's like covering his mouth and he's like putting his hand on the.
And he's like
on
not,
the
he's not
desk.
talking to her, and then she's kind of like looks down, like sniffs her hair, kind of goes towards her armpit.
Sniffs her armpit too.
And then it's just like and then the teacher's like lecturing in the background. It's just so awkward. And then the bell rings, and he's just like, before the bell rings, like he knows the bell's about to ring, and he like gets up and runs out before the bell, like right as the bell's ringing.
But yeah,
oh my gosh! And then I'll have to endure.
Yeah, that is probably the first like really unintentionally hilarious.
Well, yeah, because then she goes to the office after the class,
just cringing.
and he's like trying to switch his class, and he's like, "There's nothing, no AP Chem, nothing. They're like, everything's full. You have to stay in biology." And he looks at her. He's like, "I'll just have to endure."
Yeah, I was like, what?
The next point I wrote down is the van rescue. Like so this guy, I guess he swerves and almost hits her.
Yeah, that's after. So then after,
and
that was like the big thing in the previews. Like, there's this like van. It's like, how did you stop the van? Like, that was like this. I was like, what is this movie? And then everyone's talking about Twilight. I was like, oh, is that the one with the van in the previews where they stopped the van? But anyways, he like after, like, just to note, after the biology class, like he leaves school for like a few days, and he comes back and acts all normal, which was weird.
And you did point out the eye thing to me. I didn't really realize the whole thing. Like, when they're hungry, they have really dark eyes, and then when they're satiated,
so that's the whole thing.
they
like,
have the lighter brown eyes.
He is so like attracted to her that he really wants to just like suck her blood.
Yeah.
And it's like he can't. He's
Control
trying to
himself.
control himself.
Do you not remember that part where he's like, "You're like my own personal brand of heroin"? I was like, why do you know so much about heroin? Like,
well, that's a metaphor.
I know.
But
so anyway, so then he's like nice to her. So they're kind of having this weird. So he's staring at her from his car, and she's like she's still trying to figure him out. So she's kind of like staring back, and then all of a sudden that van swerves because it's always freaking raining. And so the van swerves, and then all of a sudden he's there. Boom! Saves the day.
And she's like, and then more staring.
And then he runs away, and no one saw him.
I wrote this down too. So there's a quote unquote dream that she has.
Oh yeah.
Where he's like staring at her sleeping. I don't think this is a dream. I think
it's not a dream. He comes into her room.
I think they talk about that in the book.
He's creepy. This dude's creepy. I'm
would
sorry.
you really want someone like that dating her?
I don't know.
He's sneaking into her room and following her.
I mean, other than him being handsome, I don't know why she falls for him. I mean, it might
because there's just this like allure to him, and there's an allure.
Now, this love story, I will say, like, I don't think it's nearly as cringy as like. Have you ever seen Star Wars: Attack of the Clones?
Was that the one you made fun of me because I thought it was so romantic?
Yes, that is one of the all-time most forced and awkward romances in cinematic history.
Yeah.
But apparently Bailey thinks it's romantic.
Well, it was the most romantic thing in Star Wars. Nothing about Star Wars was
Han and Leia?
Well, but that was brother and sister stuff.
No, Luke and Leia are brother and sister.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
Yeah.
but then Harrison Ford
Luke imprints on Leia's baby and then wants to fuck it. Madison gets so mad every time I bring imprinting up.
It's just not
because he's
right.
making it disgusting when it's not supposed to be a disgusting
It's not
thing.
disgusting, and you just made it go.
Barrett's just going there because it's funny.
All right, so my next point I wrote down. So there's a couple murders. There's one at
So
like
yeah, the whole like there's two plots going on. There's like the plot where you're like, who the fuck is this Edward dude, and why is he so weird? And then there's this like side plot where like there's like quote unquote animal attacks.
a coven of evil vampires.
But it's really vampires.
Which that shit, can I be honest? Like
I like that better.
I want that movie. Like I feel like in these movies the subplots are always more interesting than like the Bella
What are all
Edward.
of their names? I forget all the other vampires' names.
James is the guy
With the
who,
dreads.
with no.
Oh no, he's this blonde guy.
James is the really like one who wants to like get Bella, and like he's chasing her. And then Victoria is his love, which is the redhead, and then Laurent is the black guy with the dreads.
Okay.
But there's a death in the I guess it's like a foundry, and then there's also a death by like the docks, the boats.
With the dirty Santa.
The boat.
Waylon
died.
The boat death is hilarious because they're like speeding around him and then like.
And he's like, well, it's like.
Oh no, my favorite part was when they're jumping in the shower. She's like,
well, then Laurent is like, James, we don't play with our food, and then they attack him.
Yeah, it's the effects are so cheesy. Like they're running around the boat like really fast, and it's so comical. It's really bad.
But then everyone's really sad, and then meanwhile all this is going on, and I guess Bella, then the girls from school, I think it's Jessica and gosh, Angela, they go prom dress shopping. So all this murder stuff's going on.
Oh, she's looking for this book.
Because she's getting these vibes about Edward and looks up on the internet where to buy.
Well, no, I think doesn't Jacob kind of tell her like?
Yeah. So then they went to.
Here's the history.
So yeah, wait. Let's go back because whatever. He saved her. Blah blah blah. He's starting to warm up to Bella, trying to learn about her and doing all this awkward small talk. Because he can't read her mind.
Oh yeah, he's psychic. That's a thing. I hate that.
No, he's not psychic. He can read minds.
That's psychic.
That's not psychic.
That's
like literally he can
telepathy.
That's what.
Wait, what's the
psychic is Alice is the psychic.
Oh, psychic. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah.
But anyway, so after all that happened, the bus or the van stuff, they're all like, we're going to La Push, baby, La Push, baby,
oh my god,
blah blah blah. And then
those guy friends are so annoying.
Edward goes and like is talking to her and trying to, and she's like, why don't we just hang out? Meanwhile, he does the cameo of the book cover holding the apple, and he's like, edible art. It's like, I thought it was so cool. It's like, that's the cover of the book.
That was smooth.
That's just like whenever they say the movie title in the movie, you're like, oh, they said it.
But they basically, he's asking, she's like, you should come to the beach with us. We're going to the beach. He's like, which beach? And then La Push. And he can't go on that beach because we don't know at the time.
Why do they call this Twilight? Like,
I don't know, Billy.
Like the wolves don't even change on the moon.
The original title for this book was Forks. That's the town.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be called Forks.
Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt there, but I was just thinking. I was like, why are?
But anyway, so then they go to the beach, and then Jacob shows up because La Push Beach is like on the reservation, I guess, and they're all like talking like, well, Edward stood her up, and they're like, Cohen's a freak, and then like the Cohens don't come here. So then Kristen or Bella starts walking with Jacob on the beach, and then she's like flirting with him. She's like, well, I want to know.
She's trying to work on.
I want to know. She's like literally, they're like in the book, she's like flirting with him, but then how they portray that in the movie is like the most pathetic thing I would call flirting.
God, Kristen, did she actually ever flirt with him? Because she wasn't showing it.
So then he kind of tells her stuff about Quileute stuff and like werewolves. They're just into werewolves because he doesn't know yet because he hasn't like made the change to a werewolf yet. He doesn't know anything about that. They don't know until they change, and
like puberty,
essentially. And he kind of told her all this stuff. So then she goes home and researches it, and then goes to the bookstore. Gets the book and then researches more from things she found.
I wrote that down. She Googles more than she reads. Like, why'd you even buy the book? Oh, I mean, okay.
She had to go to the bookstore.
No, she learns about that word, that tribe.
Like the legend.
She learns about that from Jacob. All she had to do was just like Google that. But no, she like buys a book and then she stops reading the book. And then it's
like searching more things.
Which I'm gonna go back for a minute, but I love when she's like Googling stuff and it's like the camera closes up on words like cold-blooded, undead, speed, strength. It's spelling it out for you. Like, do you get it? Do you get it? He's a vampire.
You're not giving the audience enough of a no confidence. Like I could probably figure this out without you.
We kind of know going in, but
also we should mention this. Edward shows up to save Bella from getting gang raped.
So yeah, after she buys the book, she decides, it's dark downtown. Like I think they're in. Where did they go? Port Angeles, somewhere in Washington. She goes down a dark alley because that made sense. And then these guys start to kind of like gang up on her, and they're like, "Oh, you're pretty," blah blah. And then all of a sudden comes in with the card trick moves Edward to save the day and growls at them.
That's the best stunt in the movie was that car spinning.
That's how John drives.
Oh yeah, John is Bailey's husband, and he was not satisfied with watching this movie.
He left. He could not watch anyone.
Yeah,
he's just like, I gotta leave.
I felt bad for him. He really didn't want to.
He's actually volunteered to start working today while we go over this.
I do like when he's in the restaurant with her, and he's like, "Yeah, I could read minds."
He goes cat.
And what? No, he's like, "Oh, that guy wants money. That guy wants sex. That guy wants money, sex, money, sex." And then like, there's some weird dude, and he's like, "Cat."
And then he close up to his face,
and he's just like. But anyway, so yeah, can I just say though, the scene where he like saves her and then they go get dinner and he's like talking to the friends like, I'm gonna get Bella something to eat, I think if that's okay. And I remember being 14 and being like, oh my gosh, that's so cute, that is like what I want in life. Oh,
What did he say? Wait,
no, not that, just like the I was like, oh, so that's when like the romance actually kind of starts. I feel like it's when he like saves her and they go get dinner and they start kind of opening up more. And then all these people are at the police station after because of that murder of Wade.
Oh, and the dialogue there. What's my dad doing here? Huh? Like, it was just, like, too much.
Kristen Stewart, now, the only other movie I saw her in, actually, that's not true.
Did you see the Charlie's Angels movie?
No, fuck that movie. I love Adventureland. I love that movie.
Pieces of that one.
I saw her in that fucking terrible Snow White movie.
I never tried to watch that.
Which she fucked the director on that movie.
Yeah, and that's the end of the romance.
And that ended the Robert Pattinson relationship. Now she just, I guess, dates chicks, whatever. Yeah. But I don't, every like line delivery, it's just, it's every, her line delivery, it's like, she's always like, huh? Like, it's just confusion and like.
I know, well, it was like, so Edward's like staring at Carlisle, who's like the foster quote unquote dad of Edward. And he was like, Bella, Waylon was a good friend of your father's. He's inside. And then she kind of looks at him. She's like, okay.
I also like how the dad is just like, he's at the crime scene. And he shows up. He's like, oh, hey, Bella. I mean, if I was a father, I'd be like.
If I showed up to my dad's work, he would have been like, oh my God, what are you doing here?
But I'd be like, also like, hey, you shouldn't be at this murder scene.
Yeah, but it was like, it was just a lot of things being forced. Like, that's my whole thing with the Google search, right? You could just Google all of this information because she obviously did later.
Well, she already knew enough.
She had to Google the book. Or she Googled the book, then she had to go to the bookstore. If she didn't go to the bookstore, then she wouldn't have gotten attacked by all those people.
It's so contrived. It's so contrived.
Details.
I'm telling you, you remove one thing, and then
it never worked.
That's why I'm sure Stephanie Meyer is a great person. She's a shitty writer. She's a horrible writer.
But so she gets the book, reads more about it, and then Googles vampires. And then the next day at school, they're staring at each other. What's new? And then she starts to walk into the woods, and he just decides to follow her. Can't read her mind, so I don't really know how to figure that one out.
So this is the big like I'm a vampire scene. So he's like she's on his back, and he like runs up the. Oh, that is so. No, he doesn't say it yet. He doesn't say it yet. No, but he does. He does run up really fast. So they're trying to get. They're trying to get to the top of the mountain above the clouds.
First, she, goes up to the mountains and she's like, "You're pale. You're incredibly fast. Your skin is ice cold." And she's like, "How old are you?" And he's like, 17. And like the most like masculine old man voice ever. And he like did not sound 17 because I know when I was 17, the guy sounded like.
How long have you been 17?
And he's like, a while. But then and he was like, say what I am. And then then he goes up and then
he runs really fast up the mountain, which oh god,
the running is hilarious.
The running is so bad.
Or the attack scenes.
But anyway, so
we forgot to mention this. He does kind of growl at the gang rapers.
I said that. He growls.
Oh, okay.
And then baseball too. They also.
Well, no.
Or we're gonna get to baseball, but okay. So this is the big reveal, and
then he's like, "This is the skin of a killer," and then she's like waiting to see it, and it's like sparkling.
He's sparkling.
Yeah.
And this is just like this is just you're making you're making vampires lame.
Yeah.
But anyway, he kind of reveals that like so his clan, like the Cullens, like they're good vampires. They only hunt animals. That's how they control their thirst for blood. But right after this scene, Bella, again, I know we've talked about the narration, but like she literally narrates and she's like, yeah, she just says exactly what we just.
Everything we just saw.
She reiterates everything we just saw.
Just in case you have to go get some more popcorn in the movie theater, like go to the bathroom, like she just like wanted to recap.
Make sure that you're on the same page. You understand because obviously the actors aren't good enough at portraying that themselves.
I don't know. That was my next note. The narration is horrible.
Yeah.
It's like, he reveals himself as a vampire, and then literally the next line is like, Edward revealed to me what I suspected. He was a vampire. Like I was just like, what?
After the son, he was like, you should be afraid of me, and then he like grabs a tree from its root, like as if you could outrun me.
All right, so I know. So my next point, Alice can see visions. We've already talked about that. I hate that.
I don't hate it. I like
They
it.
should. Okay, are they X-Men or are they vampires?
They're both. It's whatever you want it to be.
It's but like vampires don't have like.
Not in
It's
the
just like-
traditional
it's just
sense.
like-
This is just
non-traditional.
honestly, this is just like they're making up
So
their own
that's
rules.
why, like, the fourth movie is kind of cool, like the first part, because they do kind of explain like different people who have powers and like how they are unique. Some do inherit special like extra powers. I mean, they're freaking
Here's
vampires
my
for crying
thing.
out loud. Why is
Stephanie
powers
Myers-
weird?
Stephanie Myers does not play by the rules. She rips up the rule book and throws it out the window, and she just does whatever she wants to do.
I know.
But anyway, so okay, can I just say middle school, high school me was obsessed with this scene. It's after he tells her whatever, he picks her up for school, and like the music's like all upbeat. It's like dun, 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 dun,
Oh yeah, he
dun,
shows
dun.
up with
And he's
sunglasses.
like has sunglasses on, and then like the siblings who she hadn't met yet.
Everybody's looking.
And he's like, everyone's looking. He's like, well, I'm breaking all the rules since I'm going to hell. And they're all looking at him like, whatever. And then I just thought that was so cool. It's like, oh my god, that's so cute.
All right,
Yeah.
so I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but
So they go to dinner.
They go to dinner, and okay, so we pass like a big old thing on the wall of graduation caps, and this is an issue I have. Why the hell do they go to school?
Keep life interesting. They got a while to live.
What keep life
forever.
interesting? Okay, so they're all different ages, but we know Edward's 100. He's 109. Well, he wants some kind of normacy, I guess.
Well, no, he literally said, he's like, the younger we are when we start somewhere, the longer we can stay there. But here's another thing. You could just be weird homeschool kids that don't ever come out.
Well, here's my thing. Like, why go to school? Like, you already know. And there's even a scene they make a point of this. Like, he's like not paying attention, or maybe it's the second one. But like, the teacher,
third movie.
the teacher asks him like, "Oh, well, what was the last line of this?" And he just says it because he's done this so many times. Like, why? It's just their whole plan doesn't make sense. Like, so they've established that they have to move every so often because people are going to start to like notice like that they're not aging.
Yeah.
So, and then they go to school, but like, why go to school? Like,
I mean, I hate school. I'm with you. I
but
don't
like, it won't even be
They
like.
they don't eat, they don't sleep. I mean, what else do they have to do?
Oh, that just reminded me of the movie.
That's why like Carlisle became a doctor, because like, gosh, he probably did so well in medical school because he didn't have to freaking like sleep. Like, and everyone's like, oh, you just get.
Well, he's been around for like hundreds and hundreds and
like, he was
hundreds
part
of
the
years.
military at one
And it's like
point.
at some
Oh, yeah,
point,
I forgot.
like you're gonna have to keep moving, and you can only live.
Well,
and like,
hey, remember what Edward said when he in another movie? He was like, well, every couple centuries, everyone you know dies.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
but at some point, it's like, okay, like you're gonna have to move around. You're gonna run out of places to live. I'm assuming they have to stay in that. They have to stay up to the northwest, right?
Because
Because
human
it's dark.
lifetime is only what, like 70, 80 years?
They can go anywhere they want in the world.
I don't know.
Isn't it like 4 locations you go in between?
I just put, yeah. Why do they go to school? And it's like the whole school and moving thing, like that.
That's a very
doesn't
common theme
really-
in vampire movies in the
But
teen
it's
world,
just
though.
kinda-
That
yeah,
doesn't
they
make
can relate to it.
that doesn't make sense. And that's bullshit that vampires don't sleep. Because in vampire lore, they do sleep at.
Well, not in
They
this
sleep
universe.
they
Not
sleep-
in this vampire universe.
They sleep during the day. Well, this vampire universe sucks.
Okay, well, it's okay. No one would have bit you anyways.
We should have a conversation one day about the different vampire universes.
I'm telling you, they pussified vampires in this movie. But anyway,
go on about the different universes.
Ugh.
Everybody does them differently. But so he invites her over for dinner, and it's funny. They're all like cooking. They're like, "Do you think she even likes Italian?" And it's like,
because you have to be Italian to like
well, it's
Italian
like her
food.
name's Bella. Her name's Bella. And then
Oh, and then Rosalie is.
well, then she comes upstairs and she's like, "Oh, I already ate." And then like Rosalie like breaks the glass, and it's just
Ooh,
like,
do you think that the fact that her name's Bella is like a little nod to Bela Lugosi, the guy who played Dracula? Huh? No, Stephanie Meyer's not that clever. I don't think she's ever seen a vampire movie. All right, so
So this is where Bailey.
all right, your favorite line, Bailey.
Yay.
Hold
He
on.
shows her her room with no bed.
Yeah.
and he's playing music.
Hold on tight, Spider Monkey, which is
It was just so cringy.
it's the
I was like,
lamest.
No, he said, "You better hold on tight, Spider."
Oh my
And then he, like, runs
god!
up the
Yeah, he's running up the trees, and then he's like,
And then
oh,
there's Jay chilling in the
so
trees.
fucking terrible.
But, yeah.
The effects are horrible. The wire work is just so noticeable and so bad.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and then okay,
That's so cringy. Like that really, like even at the time, that killed it for me because I was just like, why? This is so like you could at least like, the slow motion jumping from tree to tree, and he just like, and he's like, close your eyes, and she's like.
but we've seen other vampire movies like Lost Boys as an example, like even Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like the jumping and stuff. And also, I'm I'm not very sure if this is in traditional vampire lore. I don't know if like vampires can run really fast. I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe
No, they're all quick and strong.
Maybe she just made that up for this.
They're just like this overly like. They just have this like
they're superhuman.
Yeah,
but
superhuman
like
strength. Yeah,
they're like immortal. I don't know. They just inherit stuff.
I wrote this next point. He's sitting on the edge of her bed and she wakes up. And
I just have to mention next, Stephanie Meyer herself appears in the movie.
Cool. In the bookstore or something?
No.
At the diner. And I thought it was kind of cool. I kind of like when they do that.
Well, who does that in all of his movies?
Stephen King does that a lot. But yeah.
But you can't really compare
the bed scene, she just like wakes up, he's sitting on the edge of her bed, and she's like, do you do that a lot? And he's like,
I find it fascinating.
I like watching you sleep.
I like watching you sleep.
Creeper controlling, stalker. Like, if I were her parents, I would be very concerned. Because like
I don't know, because he just sneaks in the window.
And that's another thing. Where is the
honestly it's any teenager's dream. Like he just comes in,
that's one thing with all these teenage movies. Where are the parents and why are they not paying closer attention to their kids?
Well, because no one came in through the front door. He came in through the window. How was he supposed to know?
All right, so my next point, and it's up there for like lamest scene in motion picture history, the baseball scene.
But okay, did y'all not love Charlie? We got to talk about the MVP of the movie actor, Charlie, when he's like, I'm going on a date with Edward Cullen, and he's here to meet you. He wants to meet you. He's like cleaning out his gun, and then he like cocks his gun. He's like, all right, bring him in.
All right, that was a good part.
I like Charlie. Like he's not even an important. I mean, he's important because he's the dad, but like he doesn't have a huge role.
He's just like chill.
But he's chill. Like to me, like I could chill with Charlie. A lot of those other people, I wouldn't want to hang out with them.
The baseball scene. This is, and it's like, and they're rocking out to. They're playing Muse, like, supermassive black. Oh. God, it's so fucking lame.
I thought it was freaking awesome, and let me tell you.
Wait. You thought the baseball scene was awesome?
Okay, what I was gonna say, I thought the part where Alice was pitching, how she does her little ballerina kick and pitches, I was like, oh my god, that's so freaking cool. I was 14, y'all, when this came out.
Again, like the slow-mo, and then like the speeding.
I liked the baseball scene when I was a kid. I'll give you that.
The sped up run, the sped up slow-mo, and then like the flips. It's just so.
Oh yeah, and then running, and then it's like
but the vampires have to play baseball in thunderstorms because they're very strong. So when they hit it, it sounds like lightning strikes.
I did notice like who's the one that hates Bella?
Oh, Rosalie.
I love when like
out.
Bella gets her out and then she's just so fucking mad at her.
She's just a hater.
Yeah, so the baseball scene is cringy.
I know. I like Emmett so when he has that face, he's like.
He just reminds me of
and this movie, the director, like the Stephanie Meyer, they think this is they think this is the coolest fucking thing.
Yeah, they're like amping it up. But I mean, for a teenage girl, like I said, if you're talking about solely like let's appeal to teenage girls, maybe that's all they were trying to do, and not trying to make anybody outside of that.
But you're gonna appeal to teenage girls and just throw in a random baseball scene.
Yeah, because they don't like. I don't know. Well, I don't want to say anything because maybe some teenage girls are into baseball, but the majority of them don't. So the fact that it's just baseball.
They play softball.
But then the best part, okay, so they play their baseball, they growl at each other, they run into trees and each other, and they play bang noises. But then
and
Alice can sense the bad vampires coming. So like James, Victoria, and Laurent come and then they're like,
I wrote this.
Hi, Bella. And then they're like, can we play? Like, they're just like talking, small talk. And then they're like, all right, well, we have a couple players like leaving. You can come and play. And then the wind blows. It's always the freaking wind that gives off Bella's scent. And then James is like, you brought a snack.
Yeah, I wrote that down. You brought a snack.
Hey, that's still a thing. And like, you're looking like a snack.
Ooh, you brought a snack. And then they all start growling. It's great.
Yeah.
Actually, when everybody starts growling, that was another funny. Like, Barry, you busted out laughing watching them.
But then, okay, so obviously James like wants to eat Bella, and now he's gonna like not stop until he does.
But like, why? Why is it worth it? I mean, I guess
it's the chase. It's the chase.
Thrill the chase.
But anyway, so then this part like really made me sad. So then she has to like find an excuse to leave.
Oh yeah,
and she's just like, her dad's like, Bella, we can spend more time together. It's fine. She was like. Just saying all these things, and he's just trying so hard to get her to stay, and she just says like, well, if I don't leave now, I'll be stuck here like Mom. And I'm like, no,
I wrote that down. You could argue that's probably the best acted scene in the whole movie.
Yeah,
like
I felt
honestly, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
like
I felt.
and there's I believed it. There's a lot. It's sad.
Charlie is someone that you could chill with.
There's
the fact that she broke his heart, you're just like, damn.
There's real emotion.
Charlie, I'm sorry.
I put this in my next point. Like, Jesus Christ! Like, how far can these vampires like smell?
Well, apparently
how far? There's
really far.
Yeah, because don't they go to where do they go? They take Bella to somewhere.
I don't even know where they took her. I want to say they took her to Arizona.
No, they went north and they went south.
Well, I think, they took her somewhere where she used to live. It had to be Arizona, though, because it was her ballet.
Right?
It was her ballet studio was in Arizona. So it had to be Arizona. And they take her there. Basically, he calls her on her cell phone. Like, they kind of break into her house because her mom's not there. Then the school find out her records. And basically, he uses this recording from a video of the mom sounding frightened. It's like, Bella, where are you? Help! And then lures her into the ballet studio.
So actually, to your point about the smell, I realized too, like, Alice can read the minds of anybody across the world. So I guess his superhuman power is that he can just sniff people all around the world.
But I think it has to, like, do with them. Like, I feel like she can sense, I don't know, she can just tune it in.
Yeah, so I would say, like, the last, like, 20 minutes of this movie, it's like watchable. Like,
when she gets bit.
They're in the ballet studio.
Yeah, and they can't see these vampires. They can see their reflection.
Yeah,
that bothers me. That really bothered me.
But it shows like this isn't your typical vampire.
Oh yeah, he bites her, and so like she doesn't turn.
He bit her because he was trying to like instead of just like some people they would like just like kill them and then bite them or whatever. But he was like trying to have her suffer. And he's like, tell her to avenge you. Tell Edward to avenge you. She's like, no, Edward. And then all of a sudden, Edward's there. Boom. Here to save the day, baby.
So, yeah, he has to... Oh, my God. So, this is another cringy part. Like, he has to suck out the venom.
And then her eyes are, like, going cross-eyed. Meanwhile, Robert Pattinson's song's playing.
Oh, yeah, this song...
It's the worst song.
This song fucking sucks, which I have a lot about that song in trivia. This song sucks. So, anyway, they kill... What's his name? James.
Then they tear his head off, rip him apart.
Alice is so cute when she does it. She just jumps on his head and throws his head off in the fire.
But I love, so she's in the hospital. Cuts to when she's in the hospital, and I love the excuse for like why she's in the hospital. She's like, oh yeah,
she's like playing in her head.
Oh yeah, I fell down some stairs and just fell through a window. That totally happens. That happens.
Sounds like me.
She's like, I guess I'm just clumsy. I just fell down a flight of stairs and just fell out a fucking window. Like that happens totally. That totally happens.
And then then it's prom.
Oh yeah, we get some Jacob sequel bait.
Oh yeah.
What's the line?
He was like, "Hey, sorry,
my dad paid me $20 to break up with
to tell you to break up with your boyfriend." And he was like, "Okay," and he wanted me to say, "We'll be watching you."
Like whatever that means.
Whatever that means. And he's like, she's like, "Hey, tell
like
your
that
dad,
was a normal thing.
Tell your dad to pay up." And then but anyway, so then they're slow dancing, whatever, and basically you see someone looking out the window at them dancing, and then she turns around and it's like, there's the sequel. Victoria crashed the prom.
Oh, yeah. And then what's that song at the end?
Oh,
I like that song.
It's Iron and Wine, which I like that song. Yeah,
they have pretty good music in it.
I will say the music is very good in the and I actually like the actual score too.
Yeah.
Now, we get Victoria's sequel bait too. She's like looking at them.
But not
the scene is set for another movie.
But also I put like this really cool Radiohead song playing over the credits. So that was my favorite scene of the movie when it ended because Radiohead was.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, so that is all for notes. That's the whole movie.
Oh, can I say the first thing I said in the movie? This was my notes.
Oh yeah. Bailey had one note.
My quote when I first saw this, after not seeing it for a long time. It says, "Dear running in the beginning has more personality than Kristen Stewart throughout the whole movie."
That was good.
I mean, it's pretty like right.
Should we do trivia?
Yeah, Madison, you're gonna kill it because I don't know anything about.
Actually,
Twilight.
so
I mean, something I might not know. I know a lot at the time, but it's been a while.
So I already mentioned Forks was the name of the book before it was published, and her publisher was like, "No, you can't call it Forks."
I feel like it would have made more. No, here's my question: nothing to do. You know how they're not doing traditional vampire things, and maybe that was the play on it. Like werewolves are supposed to turn at the full moon. So, you know, if that was an aspect of this, I would understand the moon transition. But what does that have to do with anything in this movie?
I don't know. Well, new moon kind of makes sense because werewolves.
Yeah, but I get it.
But that's it. That's it.
I mean, I guess that's all I'm saying.
Twilight, I don't know. Sparkle, like he's.
I mean, I guess you could look at it this way.
He
Twilight,
glimmers.
the beginning of a new relationship, new moon. This is a new world now, and then Breaking Dawn is like, oh.
What about Eclipse though?
Well,
Eclipse is like love triangle. Eclipse.
Yeah, Twilight kind of makes sense. Well, maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, but like they can't really be out in the daylight, so maybe Twilight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could make an argument for it, but I'm just like, werewolves don't even, you know, follow the traditional rules. So, like, why? But anyways, go ahead.
So, Stephenie Meyer, when she wrote the book, she had Henry Cavill, who is Superman.
Oh, and they had a little kryptonite.
They had him. She envisioned him to play Edward. She also had Tom Welling from Smallville. She envisioned him to play Carlisle.
Oh.
So when it came time to cast, Henry Cavill was, I guess, deemed too old. He was 25 at the time. But here's the thing. Like, Robert Pattinson, I looked it up. He was born in 86. Henry Cavill was born in 83. Like a 3-year difference. Are you guys know?
I mean, I guess he was 22.
Henry Cavill, have you seen him in anything? He's Man of Steel. He's Superman.
Yeah.
That's probably what you would know him from.
I mean,
I think Henry Cavill would probably be less creepy.
Oh, God, he's a dreamboat.
let me see him.
Very handsome man. Yeah.
Yeah, he is handsome. He would probably bring.
But that's who she envisioned.
Did he just not take the part, or?
And also,
They said he was.
so he was too old, and they're like, all right, well, do you want to play Carlisle? And he was.
He would have been a good Carlisle.
But he had to turn it down because he was filming this show called The Tudors. I've never seen it.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it wouldn't have been. Yeah.
So he was the original.
Carlisle had a role, but like not.
He was the original.
I like Carlisle.
Yeah.
But I like
the
who they
acting
picked
for
for Carlisle. He was in some teen movie.
He was in Can't Hardly Wait, which is a
Yes.
great movie. He's the guy who is the jock.
He has like.
I have a huge list of movies I need to watch just from all of the mentions in this
I know.
podcast.
So Robert Pattinson. So it was down to 4 people: Robert Pattinson and Jackson Rathbone. So this is the thing. These other actors, I have no idea. So it was down to him, Robert Pattinson,
I think
Jackson Rathbone, who
It's
was the guy
Jasper.
who played Jasper.
Oh.
So he didn't get to play Edward, but they were like, all right, well, do you want Jasper instead? And so he took the Jasper role.
Yeah,
There
that's
was
what-
Ben Barnes and Shyla Fernandez. I don't know who these actors are, but nobody knew who Robert Pattinson was at the
Yeah,
time.
and that's the thing. Like,
So if any of these 4 got casted, they would have probably been big stars. Nikki Reed was, so apparently I looked this up. So I guess she was secretly recording Robert Pattinson, like singing, like fucking around on, and she like went to the producers and was like, hey, like here's a couple of songs I think might be good in the movie. And then like Robert Pattinson like watches the rough cut and he's like, whoa, like my songs are in this movie.
Yeah.
So
Nikki Reese,
yeah.
who plays
Rosalie.
So yeah, he was surprised that his song showed up, and yeah, she was just kind of.
That song though, the "Let Me Sign" is like literally what they play in the movie is all the song is. It is like just a clip of his song.
Apparently, "Never Think" is another song that's playing during the restaurant scene. I didn't notice that one.
Oh,
I definitely recognized "Let Me Sign" because that was
Bella
horrible.
Or Kristen Stewart always supposed to be Bella.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah.
That
So
would have been a good Bella. Thinking about it now, Dakota Johnson would have been a really good Bella. I feel like.
Which
Oh
one?
yeah, because she's kind of she's from 50 Shades of Grey.
which is basically ripping off Twilight. It's Twilight
But
fan
it's just
fiction.
like a sexualized.
Yes.
It's
sex
Twilight,
with
but
vampires.
Red Room.
It's
Yeah.
yes. Robert Pattinson actually played piano for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's,
I thought that was
He's
cool.
he's very talented.
Mhm.
Apparently, like Robert Pattinson was doing some method acting. Like I guess before they started shooting, he like didn't talk to anyone during.
Oh, you
yeah.
mean like he was taking his role seriously?
Yeah.
He was like, okay.
He was kind of acting like Edward, just being weird and like not talking to anyone. He wanted to like
Encompass
feel as
it.
isolated as possible as
Huh.
as Edward Cullen.
All right.
So this is kind of interesting. So we know Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart were a hot item for a while.
Maybe because of his method acting?
So Robert Pattinson had never heard of Twilight. He only auditioned because he liked Kristen Stewart's performance in this movie Into the Wild.
I haven't seen
Into
that.
the Wild.
Sorry,
So
Rebecca.
the star of that movie, Into the Wild, Emil Hirsch, actually he went to the director and was like, hey, this girl would be good
For
Bella.
Okay.
So that's how she kind of got the role.
I think she was a good Bella.
And apparently, so Catherine Hardwicke did not initially choose Robert Pattinson for the role, but they did an audition at her house, and apparently, like, Kristen Stewart was like, it has to be Rob. Like, she basically, like, it was like love at first sight for these two. And it was kind of funny. Hardwicke was like, okay, I'm going to cast you, but, like, look, this chick's 17 years old. She's underage. You gotta focus. You gotta behave yourself. You're gonna get arrested.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and she was like, quote, I made him swear on a stack of Bibles. And then I'm sure when she turned 18, immediately they started banging.
I will say though, like their kissing scenes and throughout the whole series are so weird. It's like so awkwardly intense, and they're just making out.
That's all of them. They're like awkwardly intense about everything. Yeah.
Nikki Reed, the kitchen scene where she breaks the bowl, she actually cut her hands and she had to wear gloves for the.
Watch the movie?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't.
So.
Well, be careful,
I'm not surprised.
Also, that cool song, "Flightless Bird, American Mouth" by Iron and Wine at the prom. Kristen Stewart suggested that.
I like it.
That's all I have. That's all I really have for trivia. Are you guys?
Oh God, I probably could have like spit out more facts. I remember like I was just so obsessed with these movies back in the day, and I would just look up all these things. I'd like want to go to Blockbuster and rent movies that like Nikki Reed. That's how I saw 13. I was like, oh, Nikki Reed was in Twilight. I want to watch 13 because
Gen Z wouldn't even know what a Blockbuster was.
What's that?
Some would. There was when I was in college. There was a Blockbuster.
It's like payphones, which were also in this movie.
Oh yeah, there is a payphone. I feel like payphones are already on their way out.
The cell was she was doing
2008.
it in like a mechanic shop. Like her cell was dead, so cell phones were out there. They weren't like iPhones.
I know. I just thought it was interesting because like I don't see payphones anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
this was 12 years ago.
Are you guys ready to do categories?
Yeah.
All right. So what's the best scene in this movie?
Baseball. I'm just kidding. Well, we did say the best emotional scene was probably Charlie.
But your best scene, like your favorite scene in the movie.
I don't know.
I think for me, I probably gotta go with like when they're in the ballet room.
Yeah.
The studio, that fight, because that's like
That's
the only action we get in this movie.
I would probably say
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Probably go with that.
I would probably say my favorite scene was the van scene because
At the time.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would still say it is because it was like, oh, he saved her, and I was like, that's so romantic.
I kind of liked when I first saw it. I liked how he saved her from the gang rape. Thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that we can all agree that's pretty cool when you save somebody from a massive gang rape.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go with that. What's the worst scene of the movie? Baseball. The baseball scene.
Hang on tight, spider monkey.
Oh God.
That's cringy. I don't know. I take your pick. I mean, there's so many. Every scene's the worst scene.
The part where he's like, I don't know,
trying to kiss her and it's like stop.
I don't know. There's like cringy scenes.
I would say the most cringiest. The hang on spider monkey thing is pretty cringy.
That is the cringiest thing I've seen in my whole life.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with the baseball scene.
Baseball was pretty cringy.
So lame.
I don't know what my least favorite scene is. It was like a masterpiece. How could you say there's a bad scene?
I mean, could we say that the science route or biology, like when?
So I got that.
I would say the field trip was kind of boring. It didn't really need to be in there. He was just like nosy. I mean, that was like kind of irrelevant to me, I'd say.
Or you could have done without it.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you pick one?
I guess I said spider monkey.
Spider monkey. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the best quote of the movie?
Hang on tight, spider
hang
monkey.
on tight, spider monkey. I do like when the coven of vampires shows up and like, oh, you brought a snack.
That is
There's actually they actually have some pretty good
Matthew,
puns,
like
like don't play with your food or.
well, no, yeah. I like okay, so this is so cheesy, but loved the dad in the movie. But at the end, after like all this shit went down with like her running away,
I'm surprised he let her date Edward still.
and then they're going to prom, and he's like, "I'll take good care of her," and he's like, I heard that before," and then like totally
a realistic dad.
Yeah, he was
the most realistic character in the movie. That's why I think I liked him.
It's funny.
Okay, so everyone pick a quote.
Yep.
All right. Best unintentional comedic moment.
Okay, so the biology.
Okay, biology. I know he's like supposed to be playing like this vampire who's really just trying to keep control, but it looks like he's about to come. It looks like he's getting sucked off from under the desk.
Wait, what was the question?
Best unintentional comedic moment.
Anytime.
So a
Taylor
funny
Lautner-
moment,
Yeah,
a funny moment that wasn't supposed to be funny.
Anytime Taylor Lautner talked, because it was so awkward, and he just didn't.
Honestly, also in the biology scene, the one when he comes back, this has gotten me for years. I just always thought it was so funny. Because, Ron Pattinson is, British, so, he's, having to do an American accent. I don't know what it is, but the way he says hello when he's, when she sits down next to him after he's back, he's like, hello, hello. And he sounds like this, I don't even know what he sounds like.
I did not pick up
You
on
sound
that.
like that guy from Frozen when he's like, hello.
I know, he's just he's like, hello? And you're like, what? And then he talks again, he's like, I'm Edward. But it's just, the first thing that came out of his mouth to her was just
This little wimpy little hello.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, wait, what did he just say? It's got me for years. I don't know.
Okay, so the way he said hello is your unintentional comedic moment?
Yeah.
All right. Best performance. Who gives the best performance in this film?
Charlie.
Yeah, I do.
I love her. She's the most lovable
Charlie.
character.
Yeah, I think the actor's name is Billy Burke. I don't know.
I'm trying to think who did the best.
Like I said, I think most of the characters are just just
Would you
so.
say Alice? Would you say?
I think she gives the most in it.
She's not really a big part in this movie. In the later movies, she does.
I think
a better
she
role.
is cheerful and bright, and she's the
She
only.
has the most personality.
She's the only
in the film.
character that has personality.
Yeah, dead
I
inside.
don't know.
So I might go with. I don't know who the
You say
actress
Charlie.
is.
Oh, Ashley
Rosalie.
Green.
Ashley Green. I'd probably go with her, and she's probably not even that great of an actress. But
I mean, she's in other stuff. I like her.
Robert Pattinson. I don't know. Is he bad?
Carlisle
in
was
this?
a good actor in there. He had a good performance.
All right,
Alex
I'm gonna go.
Great.
I'm gonna go Ashley Green. Nobody's really great.
I would agree. I'm between Ashley Green and the dad, but only the dad because he's just lovable. I could just be like, oh.
He does have some good well-timed comedic moments,
Yeah.
the cock the gun.
not even trying kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said the waitress who always gave him peach cobbler. She did the best.
Stephanie Meyer in her cameo.
Oh yeah, that was probably the best
Stephanie Meyer in her cameo. That was the best performance.
for sure. For
All
sure.
right, so
I
did
agree.
you pick one?
Yeah, I can't. No, I don't know. I think Charlie.
Okay. What's the worst performance of the movie? Kristen Stewart. I just answered for all
Or
of
the
this.
little Asian photographer guy. What's his name? Oh,
One of the guy friends. I hate all of the guy friends. They're so annoying. But I guess that's the
Look,
point.
Kristen Stewart. I've been told she's been in some good movies outside of Twilight, and I love her in Adventureland. I
Maybe
love
it was the script.
that movie. Adventureland is awesome. It's a favorite of mine. But just, I don't know, her line delivery, I don't know, her expressions, her delivery. It always seems like she's confused.
Yeah, which maybe she just was.
And I don't know. I just don't like Kristen Stewart in these movies.
I mean,
Jasper was really his character, which Jackson Rathbone or whatever.
Yeah, he didn't have much
He
of
was
an
really
expression.
weird in this movie.
He's just a weird character
Yeah,
in general.
he just sits there with this weird look on his face.
All right, so mine's Kristen Stewart. Yours is the Asian girl.
No,
guy.
the guy. But
Asian
I
guy.
was gonna say Jasper in this movie. It was not. It was a weird. He was really weird.
Yeah, I'd say maybe Jasper.
Okay. All right, so we're about to wrap up. So I would need you to give your final thoughts and rate this movie out of 5. So go.
I'd say 3 out of 5. I'd say
3 out of 5. That's decent. Wow.
I would say at the time it had a bigger place in my heart than where it does now. Because when I first saw it, it was interesting, to a teenage girl. I was just like, oh, this is a cool concept. To me, I thought it was cool that it didn't do the same traditional vampire, whatever.
Ugh.
So, yeah, I know we're going to disagree on that. But as of right now, rewatching it, I'd probably put it more 2.5 out of 5 or something like that.
So what is your final score? You can,
2.7?
if you want to give it, okay, yeah. If you want, you can do a 2.7 if you
I
want.
say 2.7 because it's between what it was to me then versus what it is now. It was never this fantastical movie where I'm just like, oh my god, best movie of all time. No. It was something to watch. It interests you. It gives you that whole romantic plot line that you want as a teenage girl. You're like, oh my gosh, this is what real life is going to be like when I meet someone. John's exactly like that. Just kidding. I'm sitting over here what?
All right,
Like I said, I didn't want to be in this.
all right, Madison.
I would definitely give it. I mean, gosh, if I were rating this as a 14-year-old, it'd be like 5 out of 5. It was so good. I remember just like waiting for the next one to come out. I thought it was great. I read the books. I was a huge fan.
I got into like the plot, I guess.
But if I'm like rating it now, I'd say 3 out of 5. Like I think it's still good. Like if you read the books, like that's what it's about. Like it's just, it is. You take it for what it is. It's also like 12 years ago. So, you know, I'd say 3 out of 5. I mean, I love it. It's, you know, I mean, I've seen it so many times, so I'm almost kind of like, but it was nice to see it after a while. But, you know, I think it was a good little teen flick and little romance story of its time.
Okay. For me.
And that's all we have for today.
No, wait. No. I'm trying to be fair here. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. I mean, it's probably the best out of the saga.
No,
the first one?
The third one.
You think the third one's your favorite?
The third one was good.
See, I was watching the third one last night, and I was getting bored.
Really?
Like
But
like.
because there was more romance in it, so maybe he didn't care for it.
Okay. I'm going to be fair here. I'm going to give it 2 out of 5.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I think it has some cool ideas.
Yeah.
I really
Just
do.
didn't get fully developed.
Be
like-
curious to see how it would have been
And
now being made.
And if they went with like a different approach, like a different director, you know, if they just got rid of the whole like young adult like CW teen vibe, I would like to see a different take on this material. Like make it really dark.
But that would be appealing
and-
more towards you.
I know, but I'm just speaking
They did
for
that
me.
with Samurai Jack. You know, they had that like the cartoon. It was like la 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 la, and then when it got older, it got dark.
Yeah, I would like to just see like a darker, like
Version
like
of
a
this.
gory, more violent. Maybe you beef up the stuff with the coven of evil vampires, like that. To me, like that was the more interesting stuff, like that trio of like bad vampires. But like, yeah, a lot of good ideas. It's just like the execution is not the best.
Yeah.
A lot of like,
It's supposed to be snowflake.
I mean, a lot of cringy.
Well, the cringiness.
There's just a lot of cringy parts and a lot of unintentional funny moments.
Which were kind of entertaining if you're trying to.
I mean, it's watchable. I did like the soundtrack. I didn't even mention the soundtracks to these movies. Like, I had the New Moon soundtrack, and you know what? Anyone who's listening to this can make fun of me. That soundtrack fucks. I love the New Moon soundtrack. And like, remember the Paramore song in this? How did we get here?
Oh,
I forgot.
how does it go?
It's like, how did we get
Who
here?
sings it?
Paramore.
Let's keep it that way.
Oh.
Never heard that.
No, it's just it feel like I said before. It feels like a CW show. It's just very cheap. The effects are terrible. The acting's not the best, but I mean, it's not the. I mean, it's watchable. It's watchable, and actually, I will say, like towards the end, it like does get better. Like I said, the subplots in this movie.
The fourth, even like, yeah. I mean, it has some. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good series. I stand with it. I'm part of the cult that helped it become what it was.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're getting to the chorus. Yeah, that song was awesome.
They had a couple Paramore songs in there.
So that, yeah, 2 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Would you watch it again?
No, I'm not gonna. Okay, so I before yesterday, I probably hadn't seen Twilight.
We're gonna finish this.
I probably hadn't seen it in 10 years, and I probably won't watch this for another 10 years.
Okay, so we only got to movie 3. I guess the real question is, are we gonna finish the series?
Definitely.
Yeah, because I hate myself.
John already had his thumbs down.
All right, well that was Twilight, guys. Thanks for doing this.
No problem.
Maybe we'll do like another Twilight movie or something.
Next time we see you, we'll do New Moon.
We gotta do a
Okay.
Sigmon family classic. Whatever our classic movie was.
So New Moon. Okay. All right. So that was Twilight. Thank you everybody for listening, and I will see you guys next week.